Today is Wednesday, January 28th, 2026. I'm Sweets. This is Sid. This is our Wednesday weekly check-in where we talk about what we are delivering and what we're doing for the rest of the week. Kicking it off, I am working on Pulse. Pulse are daily/weekly updates for musicians, artists, record labels to be able to get updates in their inbox. So I just got the first Pulse this morning. Right now it's just saying hello world. I'm just verifying that it works, but I got this email. The room ID is 43B, and then it ends with 3426A. While that's loading over there, we can see inside of the task, which ran today at my time zone, 4 a.m., 9 a.m. UTC. It used the room ID 43B, ends with 426A. The Pulse email that was sent, I can see we got both the prompt and the output here inside of the Recoup chat. So the trigger did run. It did send me an email. That email is connected with our multimodal chat. We can check the API that has been updated. If I use a personal key, it only returns one pulse of my personal. If I use an organization key, it returns multiple. If I use an API key from the Recoup organization, which is what I'm using right now, it returns every single one. The every single one's important for our triggers to be able to get it across orgs. So far, this is every single pulse that has been set up. There is mine, which is active, and there is one that is for an org that I accidentally set up. Outside of that, there is nobody else. So the big question that I have is how can I increase the number of people who have opted in to using Pulse, and how can I track that, especially with our enterprise customers? I'm sure this is something we want to share with the CEOs and executive levels of our enterprise customers. Hey, this is how many people have opted into the Pulse service. And then we can break it down by team as well. This is how many people on your team have opted in. That way team leads can know how many people are opting into this. And then from there, I believe Resend even sends us how many people are opening the emails. So we can start to give that data back to our enterprise customers of this is how many people are enabling the service within your company. These are how many people are using the Pulse service within your company. My next steps are I want to update the prompt. Right now, it's just, hey, send me a hello world email. I want to add in, look up my recent chats to understand what I'm working on. That's going to then mean that we need a tool to be able to get the chats, and summarize those. I'm thinking about making a standalone agent for the pulses. I'm thinking it's going to be a pulse agent, and it's going to be a Ralph loop. The Ralph loop is going to make it so that we're not sending in a specific prompt. Like I was just saying, I'm sending in a prompt, send me an email. And the Ralph loop will be more of, here's the plan. You need to execute every step in that plan. It's going to include looking up conversations, sending an email, and then anything else we think needs to go on in order for a pulse to be successful. That is it for me. With that, I'll toss it over to Sid for any feedback on pulses, or if you want to jump into what you're working on.
I have some questions about Pulse.
Shoot.
It's
awesome. I know. Try to hold your astoundment.
I'm trying to think through the question. It's based off of recent chats.
It will be based off of, currently it just sends a hello world message. Next step that I'm implementing today will be based off of recent chats, correct?
Got it. If I opt in and I don't have any recent chats, what happens?
I'm assuming the tool, that's a great question for us to run through. One of our own accounts, we should run that test. I'm assuming what will happen is we check the recent chats tool, it returns an empty array. It then tries to do the next step of sending the email based off of recent chats and probably says something like, I couldn't find any recent chats. That probably gives us a good opportunity to give that. Asking the question back to you, what would you like to happen if the recent chat tool returns no recent chats?
I guess the question, what other data can we supply Pulse to give value to the customer? And let's assume that they're a part of an org, right? Because we're kind of starting this as like org pulses, right? Like,
yeah,
there because that's where our enterprise customers live. So like, you onboard as an enterprise customer. You're opted into Pulse. You may not have started any recent chats, but now you're starting to get these pulses from Recoup. And Recoup has access to your artists, but there are some things it doesn't know about you, right? It just knows your email address and it knows what artists you have. It doesn't know like what recent chat or what artists you're currently working on. It doesn't know what your priorities are. It's like there's like a lot of data that like we might want to. I'm trying to think about that layer of like what does Pulse require to give the user value, and does that become an onboarding experience for Pulse as well? Of like, if you have no artists, send a questionnaire to the user that says, what you working on? Well, I'm going to set up your Pulse. If they don't answer, pulls things from the artist's knowledge base and, you know, give some recent update. Like, I'm just trying to think of how do you make this thing smart, dependent on where the user is at with our platform. That's my main thought around Pulse, right? But I think where your direction is going is correct. We just need to expand the Pulse's understanding of the user.
I agree with you. Do you have any thoughts on me using a Ralph loop for the Pulse agent, making a new agent for a Ralph loop with Pulse?
I like agents. I like Ralph. So those two together sound great.
Those buzzwords sound like music to your ears.
Yeah, it sounds great. No, yeah, go for it. I think it's a cool place to go. My biggest thing, and it's the context engineering question, like, is going to affect the entire app layer. It's not just Pulse, but like, I think like as you're working on it, like think through that app layer. Cause like, I'm also thinking through onboarding. I started a Ralph loop of onboarding, and a lot of these questions come up of like, what is the aha moment that we can take somebody through? It's like setting up a task for them that they like get immediately, and then it becomes reoccurring. Whereas the super aha moment is when that reoccurring task is actually valuable and personalized to them. So it's like not, you know, a weekly summary of your artist. Like, that might not be valuable this week. This week it might be, we're launching a campaign and I just spent $2,000 on TikTok. I need to know what the influencers are doing this week. Like that, you know, so it's like thinking through that that intelligence layer.
You had mentioned org artists, which I think is great. So context engineering, I agree, incredibly important. Recent chats, lowest lift, makes a lot of sense. If they don't have recent chats, leveraging the information we know about the org, I'm wondering if it might be even more valuable to know what their email inbox is and then try to get them to connect their Gmail that way. If they don't have any recent chats with us, they more than likely have recent chats in their own Gmail inbox. And if we read those, Alexis already said, I've been looking for an email management tool. Recoup becomes that for you.
Yes, if we get that, that is the holy grail of, well, okay, so there's two holy grails. I shouldn't say that, but recent chats, easy lowest lift, plus context engineering artists, who's on their roster and what's going on over there, right? Then you have the layer of what's going on in their inbox. Incredibly value. It's what Pokey like doubled down on, like during their onboarding, during the negotiation of the subscription. They say, oh, you have this contract in your email. Like, you can pay $300 a month. Like, so like they're like pulling that information and using it against the user for their good, but you get it. And so, yes, the more connections we can get, the better. And then there's also the level of like, I know that Exa, or I think Exa does people search now. So we could like, if we get their name, run a people search, and then just have like, similar to how we have our artist deep research knowledge base, we can have like a user deep research, and just, it knows everything about them. So then it can start to understand, what newsletters should I go pull from? What influencers on Twitter are talking that I should let them know about? What is this person most likely to be interested in? And we can regurgitate that information or curate that information for them, I think, is another valuable play. On the topic of connections, I hit up the person who is in charge of the Google admin of the org for the customer, one of our customers. And the questions were like, what are we using it for? What are the connections for? Who needs everything? There is a little bit of a hurdle of like, I can't just like blanket say like, accept everybody at the org accepts all Google admin privileges yet. So it's going to be a proof. This is how, or what I'm understanding of this is like, org enterprises are going to need to like have systems in place to trust the steps of like, how are these agents working? What information are you pulling from my email? How private is it? How can you prove it's private? How can you prove that you can't see it, but only I can see it? Like, I don't want an agent to be able to go and pull, you know, it's just all of those questions are coming up around like, if I give access to this thing, what is it really doing behind the scenes? And so the more we can infuse that trust of like, we're only pulling it per account, you know, like it's per API key or whatever it is to make it just more secure, more trusted. You know, even me being like Compazio SOC 2 compliant, like was still like okay, well, what are you using it for? Well, how do you, I think we'll get there. Like, it's just going to be like, it's not an artist being like, yeah, connect Google, fuck it. It's like one person has to connect Google. It blocks them. They have to go to their person. That person has to go get to their boss and say, is this okay? That person, if they have a boss, needs to say okay, or they need to ask all the security questions. So it becomes this larger lift. With all that being said, context engineering around recent chats, artists, and then the user scraping would probably be the easiest lift until we get access to Gmail. And with that, I will say my quick piece about the shipments. You're asking questions about use attachments in your allow markdown attachments. As I was building it out, I realized that if you add markdown, it just appends the entire markdown message into the chat message, which is a terrible user experience. So instead of that, I created the components so that it was like a markdown component. So when you send, if it's a markdown attachment, or if it's a text attachment, it doesn't append the message. It just like shows like the markdown card to follow thing, which is why I shipped those. I did not add that same feature to CSV yet. I was going to wait until you approve this and we merge this one, and then I was going to go back and do the same thing to CSV, unless you want me to also mess with CSV as well to give it the same functionality and the same components, which it should like have, but I just didn't want to.
Have you tested CSV to see what happens in your current PR? Because it looked like you were deleting some things for how we were parsing CSVs.
I did not test CSV. I'll test that to make sure.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. The customer experience was not ideal with it appending all the CSV text into the input. So I'll re-review, and as long as I'll re-review.
It's a Recoup chat one too. So like you might like just to get to test it to see what the components are first. But let me check what happens with CSV before you do it, because I want to make sure I didn't break any of that functionality. If I didn't, or if I should put it back, do you want me to give the same functionality, the component, like the same functionality as text markdown to CSV? When
if you go back, yeah, but how are you, if you're not appending it to the input, how are you getting that text content to the backend chat?
I am appending it to an input, but anything in the attachment shows as a card, and then the user message shows as the input. So it's just a UI thing. It's all getting added to the chat message.
So you are still appending a message. It's just not being shown in front of the customer's face like it was for CSVs.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'll re-review that. Sounds like a better architecture.
Okay, cool. Let me test CSV and then I'll ping you and then you can retest. Sweet.
Good to go?
I think we're good. Oh, wait, I have a question for you before you go. Wait, do you have a second?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you there? I just
I
see thank you for
think I'm
watching.
here. Can you still
You
hear
can
me?
see. Yeah, I can see. Okay, there it went away. Do you have a second?
Go ahead.
Or are you busy? Can you show me your Ralph implementation in the code base? Do you have like a .ralph?
I copied Mac Pockuk's setup exactly from his video.
Okay, cool. All right, because I set one up last night and I wasn't sure if I should keep it local or if I should ship it to the mono repo. And it's like a mixture of Jeff Hurley's and Matt's. I'll ship it as a separate PR and let you see if we want to use it or not.
Separate PR, definitely.
Yeah. All right, cool. Appreciate you, and I will send you later.